We live? We're live. I've wanted to do this video for so long. Geoff Castellucci's 16 Tons is my favorite arrangement he's ever done, and I am so excited to analyze and unpack this and talk about why it is so freaking awesome. So I'm not going to squander any more time. I want to get right into this one because I am so excited.
Some people say a man is made out of mud. A poor man's made out of muscle and blood. A muscle and blood and a skin and bones. You've got a mind that's weak and a back that's strong. You load of 16 tons, and what do you get? Another day older and a deeper in debt. Saying, Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store.
So everything about this intro establishes the tone of the piece so incredibly well. How it opens with just the one soloist, Geoff, doing the first couple of lines, and then it adds the snaps, and eventually it adds the hammering on the mining tools, and the background vocals doing the chords. And we've talked so much about pacing before and how Geoff Castellucci nails it every time, but I think it's just exceptional in this one. I think he does it best here. And yeah, it's really good.
'Cause I can't go to the company store. Don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. Come on.
Right, so every time in that little section, that little like 8-bar or 16-bar phrase, every time he hits the root of the scale, which I think is F sharp or G flat, depending on what you want to call it. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. How the screen vibrates, like the screen shakes, which you probably did notice, or maybe you didn't. Either way, so like here, I caught it right when the screen is shaking.
To the company store. Don't you call me.
Not to mention that the percussion is actually him hitting the hammer, which I don't know if that's actually the sound effect that he recorded, but either way, it's still really cool. It's really creative in establishing the tone, and the background that he has right behind him. It's probably green screen, but either way, it's still like everything he does here in the opening of the song really establishes what we're going for. Like, you know exactly what this song is going to be. Like, I'll be honest, the first time I heard his arrangement of this, I didn't know the original song, 16 Tons, but it didn't take very long for me to figure out what kind of song this was just from the way he presented himself and the way he presented the song. So I think everything he does here is absolutely incredible.
'Cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. Come on.
So I'm about to get kind of nerdy in terms of music theory. You have this bass line here, which works in a melodic minor mode. So melodic minor, when it goes down, everything is natural minor, but when it goes up, everything, or the 6th and the 7th of the scale are sharp. I might have done that a little bit wrong, but I don't care. So you start on the root, which is F sharp, I think. So when he goes down, those two notes that he passes by are natural, and when he goes back up, they're sharp again. And I don't know, that's kind of a famous thing to do with the bass line. You might know that from other songs like Hit the Road Jack, and it's really fun to listen to.
Well, I was born on a morning when the sun didn't shine. I picked up my shovel and I walked to the mine. I loaded 16 tons of number 9 coal, and the strong boss said, well, bless my soul.
So when we build up to that point, you can hear how the syllables that the backgrounds are using change. So they're at a close like humming sound, but as we build up to the voice acting part that he does with the Geoff way over here, the background vocalists, they change their syllables to something more open, like an ooh and then an ah, which we'll see later as well. But he likes to do that when he builds up to impact points, and it makes sense because like the closer we get to the impact, the more we open up with the backgrounds.
Of number 9 coal, and the strong boss said,
I'm sorry, I was mistaken. So he actually has the backgrounds sing the melody on like on a harmony, but they sing the lyrics on a harmony. But it does still add the opening up effect.
Loaded 16 tons of number 9 coal, and the strong boss said, well, bless my soul. You load 16 tons, and what do you get? Another day older and a deeper in debt. Saying, Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store.
So one thing I like about this repetition of the chorus is that he switches it to a halftime feel. So before this, when we were in the verse, we heard doom 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 doom. Like you could clearly feel the beat in 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But in this chorus, he switches the bass to doing boom 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 boom, which is like it feels like halftime. So you can almost feel the beat on just 1 and 3. So you can almost feel a measure in 2 instead of in 4. And that's another music theory thing that people like to do, especially when they're writing for jazz. And it just adds like a really cool like bounce your head or tap your foot effect.
Oh, yeah. I was born one morning in the drizzling rain. Fighting in trouble have been my middle name. I was raised in the canebrake by an old mama like an old I told a woman make me walk the line. Yeah.
So this is kind of what I was talking about before, how as he's building up to this low note, the F sharp I think, or G flat, I don't know what you want to call it. The solos and the background vocals open up, so they're on like a low hum, and then as they get higher, as the pitch gets higher, they also open up to an ah syllable.
In trouble have been my middle name. I was raised in the canebrake by an old mama like an old I told a woman make me walk the line. Yeah.
You hear that transition from the humming to the ooh to the ah, and it's also that they're building up to like a chord that will want to resolve to Geoff's low note. However, they also carry the chord through his descent to the low note, which is an interesting arrangement tactic. You don't see that very often. Like here, listen.
An old mama like an old I told a woman make me walk the line. Yeah, 16 times.
So the point we're building to is actually not the low note. The point we're building to is right after the low note, where we go back to the chorus. So if the build-up was to the low note, then the background vocals would have cut off before we got to the low note, but they carry it through the low note, the low F sharp. I keep saying it's an F sharp. I don't know if it is. Don't come at me. But yeah, so I think it's cool to show like that. Obviously, what we're listening for is that low note, but in terms of the arrangement, the actual impact is the chorus right after the low note.
I told a woman make me walk the line. Yeah, 16 tons, and what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. Saint Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company.
And I don't want to call out the differences in every time he redoes the chorus because that would just kind of be boring. But every time he does sing through this chorus, he changes it up just a little bit, that it's a little bit spicier each time. And I really appreciate that he does that.
If you see me coming, better step aside. A lot of men do.
So when we modulate, when we change the key, also sorry for pausing so much, but I really want to like dig deep into this. When we change the key, we cut out all the instruments except for the snapping for just a second to establish that we're in something new. Like we have to build back up again once we break it down. So he breaks down the arrangement, and when he modulates the key, he kind of changes the setting, and you can tell he's building up to something big at the end. And this is like everything we've been through is part of the process, but this modulation, this key change is kind of where it's the tipping point where we're getting into like the big leagues of the arrangement. So he cuts out everything and just has the if you see me coming, better step aside line, and then everything else comes back in. It builds up faster than it did at the beginning, obviously, which is what we want. But it's good that he's able to like just like make it calm for another second before we get into the groove again.
A lot of men died. One fist of iron and the other is steel. Ride one wheel, you load 16 times. Another day older and deeper in that state.
Impressive that he can do that with his voice. And speaking of what he can do with his voice, we talked about how clear his diction was in his Halloween specials like Headless Horseman or Monster Mash. And I think he does the opposite here on purpose. Because I guess it's kind of like the accent that was popular at the time, especially, I guess, in coal miners. Don't take that the wrong way. Like the sort of broken English, like not everything is pronounced 100% perfectly, and that's okay. I mean, it sounds really cool for the arrangement, but I like that he does that. He kind of messes up a lot of the pronunciation on purpose and makes it unclear, just because it is further helps to build up the tone of like that we're in a coal mine, and you would kind of like expect to hear that if you were talking to some of these coal miners. And I really don't want that to sound wrong. It's just somebody could probably come at me for that, but please don't.
Ain't a Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. 'Cause I can't go to the company store.
And there we just call back to the beginning for a second with a shaking screen, and that doesn't serve more than to just tie the piece together really nicely as we approach the end, and I think that's really a really fun touch.
'Cause I can't go to the company store. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. 'Cause I can't go.
So it's a softer ending than you would expect for such a driving piece, but I also think it works really well because it builds up to this low note. It finally builds up to this low note that he has the A flat. And I think everything he does in building up to the end, like starting from the beginning, like we talked about, how we establish the tone right away and add things as we go, and then this modulation somewhere around here, where we change the key and then we have to build up faster, and it builds up incredibly fast towards this very end part. This is just like the best example of pacing that he's done. I think this is the best example of good arrangement technique that he's done. Everything just builds so perfectly, and his voice fits the song so well. It's absolutely incredible. I don't really know what else there is to say. Like I said, this is my favorite arrangement that he's done. It's absolutely awesome. So I'm just going to listen to the end again just to let it play out.
To the company store. 'Cause I can't go.
And that's all. That's the end of the arrangement. It's so good. I listened to it actually a lot. I think it might be his shortest arrangement. I don't know if Saddle Up was shorter, but still, it's so good. Like, and one other thing I appreciate when we compare this to his other arrangements is that he doesn't sing low just to sing low. He sings low just because it fits the style. It fits the tone. And the first time I listened to this, I was honestly kind of disappointed that he didn't like dip super low into the subharmonic range. But after a few listens, I kind of came to respect that more, because sometimes I feel like, even though it sounds really good and it sounds really cool, I feel like the low notes are there just to like show off the range. And that's not a bad thing. Like, I would do the same thing. But at the same time, I feel like this is the arrangement where singing low best fits the tone. And yeah, I don't know. I guess that's all. So that's all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you did enjoy. And if not, like and subscribe anyway, because it'll make me feel good about myself. Because that's how my life works. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.